I think that you are reaching this point in your life, my gorgeous Pisces, where you're going to realize if you don't make the necessary step that you need to make, that you are fully aware of what exactly you need to do, you're just never going to be happy. And please don't get me wrong, don't attack me. This is not like a downer, it's not something really bad, it's not something really negative, but it's about you thinking about, maybe how unhappy you have been for a while, and maybe how unhappy you have been lately. And this is not going to change unless you do something about it. And this in itself is really a lot to do with you maybe realizing that you have found yourself in the wrong place, maybe, or where you are maybe living at the moment currently, maybe it's not like making you feel really good anymore. You have been gone through so much within the last 2 or 3 years, my gorgeous Piscelini, and you need to understand that every single change, every single obstacle we face, it changes us in a good way, because that's exactly how this life should be. So with all these changes, we reflect on things differently. So naturally we are changing, we are growing, we are evolving. So naturally this is nothing unusual when you just find yourself somewhere where you just feel like you don't fit in, whether this is to do with the people around you, or whether this is to do with the actual place where you live, or whether this is to do with like you wanting to move somewhere completely different, or whether this is to do with you wanting to change like complete makeover within your immediate like environment. It really, really, really depends. But however, it boils down to the same thing, that you really need to kind of make a certain change. You're gonna feel so much like you're gonna be reminded of this, because this was on your mind for so long, and something is going to happen to you right at the beginning of this week, and that in itself, it's really gonna have such an impact on you, and a great sense of urgency, how much you want to move on with your life, how much you want to change. And this also could, like, maybe this is to do with like your immediate environment, maybe it's to do with the people around you. You just maybe find yourself, oh my God, I don't fit in anymore. And there could be so many different reasons for it, but there is something in terms of energy which is not going to seem right for you whatsoever. And don't let this cloud your journey. Don't let this cloud your mind. Just see this as a blessing. This is a great sign that you've been through like so much, but most importantly, you've been through something like really difficult challenge, like horrible challenge you've been through. And you think that challenge is still part of your life, but that challenge has actually come to an end. So there is something that you are, some kind of a challenge, an obstacle that you've been dealing for so long, it has actually come to an end, but you didn't even realize this. And this is what this beginning of this week, it's actually going to also make you realize. It's going to kind of like really bring more clarity into your life. From the beginning of this week, you're going to have more clarity on what you want to do. Trust me, right from the start of this week, you're gonna feel so adamant to do probably one of the biggest steps of your life. But this is not gonna happen overnight. It's more about you deciding to do this. Just remember that something is persistently making you feel so unhappy. So this is either to do with your immediate environment, and you have to be honest with yourself, or it's even to do with like where you're spending a lot of your time. Maybe it's to do with your work. If you're spending a lot of time in your work, and then you feel like this, maybe it's to do with your work. It really depends. But however, you have to listen to yourself. This is so important, because otherwise you're just going to unnecessarily drain your energy. And from the beginning of this week, somebody really beautiful and gorgeous is going to inspire you in such a way where you're going to listen to someone, or you're going to watch someone, but then it's more about the energy that you're going to get from this person person, you're going to feel something so magical in terms of the actual inspiration. It's going to be a bit of everything, what is actually going to inspire you when it comes to that particular person. But most importantly is the quality of life. You're going to realize, I want more, you know, and you could be a multimillionaire, multi-billionaire, but you could have absolutely everything. But that doesn't mean that the money necessarily buys you happiness, you know, because there are lots of millionaires, billionaires who are completely unhappy, you know. Do you know what I mean? So it's all about finding your inner happiness, and something is going to be so triggered within you, my gorgeous Piscelini. You will see that, like, you like your life, you're living your life, but you want more, you know, and it's going to put you in such a nice mode of exploration, which is ever so important at that moment in time when you need something, you need a bit of a pushy push in order to come out of your comfort zone. It's so important, my gorgeous Piscelini, indeed. And also, when it comes to the beginning of this week, let me tell you something. When it comes to the beginning of this week, okay, you are actually gonna, oh my God, I'm not gonna lie to you, right? So it's nothing connected to what I said so far, because, you know, a lot can happen in this week, in 1 week, but especially when it comes to you, there are going to be quite a few things that are actually going to unfold, which are going to surprise you. But then again, these few things that are going to unfold, they are going to surprise you, and there is a very kind of beautiful and unique feeling within us that this actually creates, because we are left with absolutely no option but to respond to these situations which are surprising us. So on one hand, you will not have a time to prepare yourself for this, but on another hand, you're also not going to have a time to, like, kind of to respond to this later, if you know what I mean. So a lot is going to happen spontaneously, which is also a great sign to absolutely 100% keep on paying attention to the actual synchronicities throughout this week, because all the synchronicities throughout this week are going to be guiding you towards you, like kind of like, it's all the synchronicity is going to be like kind of shaking you up a little bit and guiding you, like, come on, do something, come on, do something. It's going to literally be like that. But when it comes to the beginning of this week, my gorgeous Piscelini, you know, you are going to feel, to start with, oh God, a little bit down, a little bit negative, and then you're going to feel, oh my God, you're going to feel just like a little bit down and negative. You're going to feel like a little failure, because you're going to be thinking about the specific task that you've been dealing with, that you've been focusing, and you are going to feel like negative about it, because you're going to realize it's not going anywhere. And then you're going to be like torturing yourself a little bit. Oh God, I'm a failure, I'm a failure. Do you know what? Sometimes this is really good, because it brings us closer to ourselves, and then we dive really deep when it comes to our subconscious mind, and then we do the shadow work, and then once we do the shadow work, so much come to the surface that was holding us down. So this is why it's important to be down, up and down, up and down. The light cannot be without the dark. The dark cannot be without the light. You see what I mean? You get my drift, my gorgeous Piscelini. So you are going to feel a little bit down. You are going to feel a little bit negative because of the lack of you know, you're going to feel like, oh, there is some kind of a task or something that you're going to feel failure about, like, oh, that something is not happening, you're going to feel so down, you know. And then this is where Big Mama comes in, and the Big Mama was so big that I had to push her from the other side of the door, because otherwise she would be stuck. No, seriously. So, you know, this is where the Big Mama comes in. This is where the Big Mama comes in. What's wrong with me? I have no idea. This is where the Big Mama comes in. Just a couple of days later, listen to me very carefully. The more down you are at the beginning of this week, the more sad you are at the beginning of this week, the more depressed you are at the beginning of this week, the more elevated and the most excited you are going to be later on. And when I say later on, I'm still talking about this week, baby. So do you see what I mean? So when you're down, you're just pumping yourself up so much with this down energy, which is also going to be as enhanced once you go up. Where's Piscelini? on the ceilings. Do you see what I mean? So once you go up, this is what I mean. So 2 days later, within the next couple of days, you are going to have this important news. This important news that you are going to have, it's like, oh my God, this is going to mean to you so much, because it's going to put your mind to rest. On another hand, it's going to help you to understand that, you know, you need to carry on with something. This important news is going to be so big because it's going to open your eyes, it's going to put your mind to rest, and it's going to help you to understand that you need to carry on with something. It's not a failure, it's not bad, it's not negative, it's not like, oh my God, like a failure. No baby, no. This important news, it's really going to surprise you, and it's going to make you aware of few things which are really gonna keep you going here. And once that happens, you will see exactly what I mean, because in terms of inspiration, you are gonna explode, and that in itself, it's all about you understanding, you know, that some kind of cooperation, it's going to be important here. And at the same time, it's about the effort, you know, understanding it's to do with an effort that you need to continue until you get to the certain stage of your life. And this is leading towards a pleasure, trust me. But at the same time, you know, you must remember to not to make an impulsive mistake. And an impulsive mistake that you must not make, it's pretty much so going to happen because you are going to be facing an obstacle and a problem, and you are going to be reminded with that something is delayed. Okay, something else is going to be delayed, and this is really personal. But you must not allow this is to do with something personal. This is perhaps to do with some other person, and this is to do with an impact that you have on some other person's life that is also so important to you. This is somebody very much so important to you, somebody who means to you so much, and you mean to that person so much as well. So you are going to be dealing with something really personal, but you must not allow this to take the better of you. And sometimes the more we kind of are under the pressure when we are dealing with certain things, you know, the better outcome it is. And this is what I'm trying to say. Stress is not really bad whatsoever. Stress is actually really brilliant sometimes, because stress can re-energize people. And if you are stressed, that doesn't mean that you are doing things like really silly and really stupid things. No baby, no. You know, stress is just basically because you've got so much to deal with. But that doesn't mean that the things are not going to be done in a good way, or in like it's not going to produce a good quality of work, for example. So at the same time, the obstacle that you're going to be dealing with because somebody else in your life who is very connected to you is going to be going through something difficult. So you are going to feel like a little bit emotional, but then at the same time, this is just a temporary distraction. You will know what to do exactly when it comes to that particular person. So it's to do with something that that person is dealing with, but it's also to do with an answer to their problem that you have. So you don't have to, which is going to come to you immediately. Like immediately you will know what that person needs to do. But you must not, for the love of God, go to overanalyze what you say. You just have to go with your initial thought, because when it comes to that person, what that person needs to do. Because if you don't go with your initial thought, you are going to end up saying something completely different to that particular person to actually do. So you have to go with your initial thought, and that is going to mean that that person is going to need to be brave in order to do something which you like going to kind of doubt a little bit. Oh, I doubt they're going to do this, you know, I doubt they're going to do this. But you have to go with this, because that particular person is going to do what you're going to tell them to do. So you need to understand this. But if you do go to overanalyze, it's like, no baby, no. So going back to what you were doing, my gorgeous Piscelini, you just need to understand that this in itself is going to be just a temporary distraction. You have to understand to rely on yourself, and by relying on yourself, you're going to relinquish control, and by relinquish control, you are going to be prepared to take a really important life challenge, which is going to come to you right at the end of this week. Indeed, otherwise you're not going to be like really prepared for an important life challenge, which is coming to you right at the end of this week. And this life challenge that is going to come to you right at the end of this week It's like more or less you just needing to understand that you have to speed something up, and you're not going to know how to do this, but you're just going to understand, yes, I need to speed something up, and that's all you need to do when it comes to that particular challenge indeed. And also, my gorgeous Pisces, at the beginning of this week, be mindful of this conflict, because someone is going to try to wind you up terribly, badly. And someone is going to try to wind you up, this one specific person. And that particular person doesn't mean anything to you. It's just like maybe someone who you work with or someone who you see every now and then. You're going to have like a conversation about, oh, it's a nice weather. You talk about the weather to people who you just really don't get on. Or you talk to people about the weather who you just don't have nothing, to talk to about. You've got nothing in common, and that's absolutely fine. You're just polite. You go out and you say, oh yeah, hi, it's nice weather, isn't it? Oh yeah, it's really sunny, isn't it? Especially in England, it's like that's all what people do. It's just we all talk about the weather. But then anyway, yes. So you are going to be talking about something like completely XYZ, but somehow you're going to say something, you're going to mention something anyway, and then this other person is not going to be able to understand this whatsoever. And I'm talking about somebody who is spiritually on a completely different level to you. Just remember, there are three different types of people when it comes to spirituality. 1, 2, 3. Number one are people who are always spiritual, who are born spiritual, like myself. I was always like that. Astral projection by the age of 14, 15. Do you know what I mean? I was always like that, yeah? Number two is people who are willing to learn. That's brilliant. They're halfway there. Willing to learn, that's fantastic. A room to grow. Let's see where it's going to take them. Number three, these people are never going to be able to, never going to be willing to learn that there is more to life. They're just completely blocked. Even if they see like spirits flying around them, they're just still going to find an excuse. Oh my God, I forgot to take my tablets or something. Do you know what I mean? So this type of people number three, they're meant to be like this. They're never going to change. It's to do with their spirit. It's to do with the way their spirit is evolving and what their role on this earth is. Your role is special. Your role is precious. You understand more. You're extremely spiritual. So don't waste your spiritual guidance on people who would never be able to understand you. So this is the person number three. Someone who is never going to be able to understand. So that person is going to wind you up. You're going to say something, they're not going to be able to understand what you're saying, and then just elevate yourself. This is going to be a sign that now you need to change your direction slightly. And you will see what's going to happen after that. And then it's everything going to be clear. Okay, by the time you get to the mid part of this week, my gorgeous Pisces, you are going to have such an amazing idea. This amazing idea that you are going to have at around the midweek, my gorgeous Pisces, it's going to be so important. It's going to make you feel so determined, and this determination is going to be mental. And this idea that you are going to have, it's a lot to do with your quality of life. It's a lot to do with things that you want to do, but it's a lot to do with your own calling as well. This idea that you are going to have, this is going to be something very unique, very unique to you. Listen to me very carefully, my gorgeous Pisces. This is going to be very unique to you. This idea that you're going to have at around the midweek, and this idea that you are going to have, it's like a basically, gonna be so unique to you because it's to do with your calling. It's to do with your life purpose. It's to do with something magical is going to release at that moment in time. This is going to bring a magical release into your life, and at the same time it's going to really pretty much going to bring divine support into your life. It's going to bring comfort into your life. It's going to bring peace into your life. It's going to make one of the most important impacts ever. This in itself, it's going to change your life completely in the best possible way. It's going to make a huge impact on your life, and something really important, it's actually going to happen just by you paying attention to that idea, just by you feeling so determined about that idea. This is to do with your calling, it's to do with your life purpose, it's to do with your spiritual journey, but it's also to do with something so unique to you. Maybe lots of people couldn't even understand what are you talking about if you mention this. You need to understand this. This is all going to lead towards you like understanding, oh my God, this is going to bring a huge impact into my life, but it's going to start like an idea that you're going to feel so determined about, okay? But it's to do with your calling, your spiritual journey, your soul purpose. This can come in any form, any shape or form, you know, this can come in any way, my gorgeous Pisces. So it's going to be very, very interesting the way this is actually going to happen, but it's going to lead towards you getting a bigger picture of, like, on one hand, you're going to realize that you overcame like a huge challenge, but on another hand, you're going to realize a bigger picture when it comes to you understanding how much you need to bring more positivity into your life. You need to bring more pleasure into your life. You're gonna see the bigger picture of what you need to do in order to be happier, in order to have more fun, in order to have more warmth. You know, this is the moment of rebirth that you're never, ever, ever, you're going to forget. You're never going to forget this, how you're going to feel. This is going to really change your life, my gorgeous Pisces, forever. But it's going to be very, very interesting in which form this is actually going to be shown to you. And also, please listen to me very carefully. I know you're going to say, oh, this is boring now. But also, around the midweek, you need to take steps to get healthy. This is so important when it comes to your work-life balance. And you can be completely healthy. That's absolutely fine. But I'm still going to say that you need to, you're going to feel like you want to take steps to get healthy. And when it comes to that, you need to use your own wisdom. You need to listen to your body. You need to pay attention to what your body is trying to tell you. Indeed. By the time you get to the last part of this week, my gorgeous Pisces, by the time you get to the last part of this week, you know, you need to understand this. You have to be persistent. Like, oh my God, you have to be persistent with this challenge that you are going to be facing, this obstacle that you are going to be facing. And the only reason why you're going to be facing this obstacle is only because you are, it's to do with the lack of preparation. You're not going to be prepared for what is actually going to happen, but you still need to be persistent. It is so important. Be persistent. Just remember what happened at the beginning of this week. You were like so down and this and that, and look the way everything unfolded. It's just like exploded, really. So this is like, you need to be persistent at the end of the week when you come across this problem because of the lack of preparation, because this in itself, in as little as 4 days after that moment in time, it's going to bring an accomplishment. It's going to bring power into your life, which is going to bring confidence. You know, this is what you need to understand. Okay, and also shortly after that moment in time, you know, you are really going to, something is going to happen to you, my gorgeous Pisces, at around the end of this week. You're really going to have an unusual experience, but it's going to be so good, because that unusual experience, it's really on one hand going to rejuvenate you. It's going to make you want to live again. It's going to make you aware of something, how much you want to explore something. There is a very, very beautiful and really unique experience that you are going to have, where you're going to realize something about yourself, something about your desires, but also how much do you want to explore and find out more about something very, very specific. And once you do this, once you dive into it, you're going to realize unlimited possibilities, so many, and that in itself, it's going to, now everything is going to start making sense. Why did you think about certain things in a certain way that were confusing you, you know, because you've noticed like how much you've changed over the last year, especially about the things that made you feel so happy and so excited. There are lots of things that are actually bringing you down, and this is nothing bad, but it's a really great sign that you really went through like so much lately. So now you're going to be able to become aware of like how much you've actually changed, and this is going to come in you realizing how much do you want to explore something. But then at the same time, you know, this is the beginning of something very, very special, a very special spiritual journey. You're about to walk through the whole new door. When I say like, oh, there is something that you're going to feel so strong, like strongly, how much you want to explore something, you need to understand it's more just about exploration. It's to do with your passion, but it's also to do with you walking through the brand new door here, my gorgeous Pisces. destiny, you are going to be left with absolutely no option but to cancel certain plans. And you will know which plans I'm talking about, because you are going to cancel certain plans for something much, much, much better here indeed. Okay, my gorgeous Pisces, thank you ever so much for watching my videos. I'm sending you brightest blessings, lots of love, healing, peace and light to every single one of you. Sasha Bonasin, psychic medium. Love you. Bye.